me. And as I said, I've been designing experiences for customers for most of my career. I've spent my entire career in the experience design industry. And what I'm going to be talking to you about today is really the intersection between digital as a concept, customer experience, and the human-centered design environment, or what we call user experience design in our world. And to start off with that, I'll start with relating an experience that I had yesterday. I was at a client and we were talking about CVP realization. Effectively, customer value propositions being designed for segments, and how you take these customer value propositions on paper and make them live for the actual customer in the delivery environment. And the conversation, I think, centered on things you guys have probably spoken about a lot today. Customer life cycle definition and mapping journeys and understanding how key moments of truth exist against your CVP and your offerings and the customer types that you have. And then how you pull your delivery environment towards that envisioned customer experience that you want to deliver across your processes and your products and your services. But the really, really important part of the conversation, and where we really had to drop a point home, was you can't do this from your perspective. You can only do this from the perspective of your customer. You have to bring that customer perspective into the customer experience vision, and you have to bring that customer perspective into the design of the touch points that are going to support the delivery of that experience. Right, so the customer perspective, or other words said, the customer's context. Also, you have to understand that when you're dealing with the customer context, it's not a what problem alone. So the CVP often says, this is what we are going to deliver to the customer. And then you deliver that, and you tick off, we're doing this, and this feature was delivered there, and you can now do this in this channel, and it's still not working. Why is it still not working? We did all the things that we said we would do, right? Because customer experience is also a how problem. How you do those things is going to make a fundamental impact on whether or not you achieve those outcomes or not. And how you do them requires human-centered design, a customer-centric approach to the design of your touch points and channels. So all of this, though, leads you into a space called digital. And almost inevitably or invariably, you're going to start having a digital conversation at some point in your customer experience journey. And why is that? Because digital is pretty much everywhere, right? You can't hide from digital anymore. Looking at global stats, we have 5.1 billion people with a mobile device, right? 67% penetration into all the people on the planet. And we know that when mobile came out, it sort of changed everything, right? Changed how you access information, changed how you entertain yourself. Certainly it's not just a phone call device, it's an entire lifestyle change, right? And digital is the heart of that change. We have a penetration of 57%. 4.3 billion people can access the internet. And this is probably direct access. Many efforts are being made to reach out further by creating Wi-Fi hotspots, etc., inside spaces where people may not have otherwise had access, right? So we can expect these numbers to keep growing. And because digital and the access to digital channels, digital devices and services is growing so rapidly, we will also see changes in digital consumer behavior, how people are acting based on this digital capability that is now available to them. If we look at South Africa, and this is a report from 2019, we're seeing some really, really powerful numbers coming through, right? We have 76% of shoppers change retailers after a Google search. Ouch, right? How loyal are they to you? Google tells them to go somewhere, 76% of them change, right? A predicted increase of 36% in online spend. That's a lot of money sitting on the table, right? Are we going for the money that's sitting on the table with that kind of increase in spend? One of my favorite ones, 25% of online shoppers are over 60 years old. 25%, wow. Yeah, maybe they have time on their hands, eh? But really importantly, gone is the misnomer that digital is for the young, right? No, it's all about the young people. They're the ones doing the spend. 25% of total spend coming from people over 60, right? So the consumer behavior around digital is changing. And we have to understand and adapt to that consumer behavior by understanding and adapting to the customers that we are trying to serve. It must come from the customer's context. We must be able to build from their world. Right? Very importantly, this means that customers are experiencing digital everywhere. They are going onto websites, they are accessing sites through their tablets, they are doing self-service features through apps and mobile phones. they're experiencing a blizzard of customer experiences delivered to them by brands through digital channels. The really important point of that is that they are not judging that your experience anymore by your website and your mobile app, right? They are judging you by what they're experiencing online, because that mental model or their expectation based on their understanding of things is being set by the best experiences they are having, not by yours, not by yours. So they go and buy something, that's a fantastic purchase experience, and then they come to your website and you say, we're going to call you back in 6 months, maybe, hopefully. You're out the picture. It doesn't matter that that company was not a competitor. It has reset their baseline expectation of what an experience in a certain interaction environment would be. We must understand that expectation and that baseline if we're going to create differentiated and compelling experiences for them in the digital world. This part is the part facing the customer, going to your website, going to your app, going to your mobile device. There's another part behind it, which is also incredibly digitally enriched, which is what's happening behind the scenes, right? What's happening in the call center, what is happening in Amazon's world, what's happening in the packing and shipping environment, right? Robots packing and shipping content out rather than people. Your automation, your straight-through processing, your back office guys working on horrible, probably green screen DOS in the style interfaces, and often working on 5 or 6 systems all at once, trying to do one process across multiple systems. In fact, I have to say, my favorite people in the world are call center agents. I really respect calls, not on the phone, but other than that, I really respect call center agents. The amount of content these guys have to hold in their heads about products, services, and processes, and the number of systems they often have to go through to do one thing that you ask them for that you think should be so stupidly easy for them to do is often astronomical and amazing. So some of my favorite projects have been here in the back, trying to help the customer experience in the front by optimizing the way in which we are leveraging our digital capabilities in the back. Right? But yeah, digital is everywhere. And digital is starting to differentiate the customer experiences that we are able to produce and able to deliver to our clients. Right? We have new capabilities, contextual personalization, knowing where you are at this point in time and saying, hey, here are some offers that are directly in your space right now where you are standing. And we can connect you to those offers or to those companies. Taking a selfie to open an account, right? Tell somebody 10 years ago, you'll be able to open a bank account by taking a selfie. They would have said, what's a selfie actually? Yeah. Anyway, so now we go, wow, you can take real-time automation, you can connect systems in the back end to databases that will check that face against your profile. You are you, identification is done, we know you, we're okay with authorization at that point, and we sell you an account. Done. All by taking one selfie from your mobile phone. Right, journey-focused innovation, very, very big. We speak about the journey that a customer goes through with you as an organization. Right, companies that understand the journey well and understand their capabilities well start to innovate and offer new service propositions on top of that journey. So Uber is extremely famous for delivering people. Not anymore. Now Uber's also extremely famous for delivering food. What else will they deliver? Probably lots of stuff. Probably lots of stuff. And they probably won't stop there either. Why? Because they study that customer journey. They have made themselves experts in understanding a core customer journey, and they are now building more and more of their own innovation into that understanding. But from whose context? Uber's context? From the context of the customer and enabled by capability. So the really important thing about digital is this is not a technology conversation. There is a lot of technology in this conversation, but this is not a technology conversation. You must be understanding the world from that journey, from the customer, and then your technology can provide the capabilities you need to create the experiences that you are looking to create with your consumers. So if digital helps us to differentiate CX, then obviously CX must be valuable, right? And CX is valuable. So if we look at Forrester's CX index that they have, they track this every year, they've been doing it for many years. And every year, almost absolutely on standard, the companies that are on the top of the CX index of Forrester significantly outperform the companies at the bottom and also significantly outperform the S&P 500. So customer experience must have value. It is creating bottom line value for these organizations. It is pushing up their revenue. It is decreasing their costs. But they're doing it by focusing on the customer, not the management, not the technology, not the business, etc., etc., etc. They're focusing on the customer. Okay, so there is some value in going digital. There's an opportunity space. There's a huge market. You're going there. What does this do? What opportunities could you be creating for your customer experience by moving down this line? So let's look at some of these principles rather than actual detailed examples, etc. But principles around what is customer experience, what can you do with customer experience in digital. So the first thing that you have to say goodbye to is waiting. Right. People in the world of digital do not want to wait. That is not what digital means. Digital means quick, immediate. I want instant gratification. I want it now. I don't want to wait. So by moving things onto digital, you have to create customer experiences that are immediate, right? I can be walking around and you can tell me that there's a restaurant that has a 75% match to me right now, which actually is exactly the kind of food I was looking for and is similar to 2 other restaurants I really like. And if that's not right, I can make an adjustment and next time it will be, right? But it's immediate, it's now. It's not later. I don't have to go online and think about it. It's right now, right? We've got insurance company, I think this is Resolute, which, that's a fun name. Sorry, I'll come back. So straight through sales in their world says, I'm not asking you to apply now. I'm asking you to, you can't read that, activate now. So in the world of this insurance company, they're saying, I'm not going to ask you to go through an application process. If you want this, you activate it now. In fact, they charge on a daily basis. So you go overseas, you get your insurance, you activate it, it's switched on, you walk around, you do your stuff. When you leave, you say, deactivate me, and it's off, right? But it's now. It's not an activate, it's not an apply process, it's an activation process, right? This is ICICI from India. It's a rich self-service site. You can do pretty much anything you want with your banking online. Now, banking has been very common in putting self-service up, and there obviously is reasons for that, cost saving, etc. But really importantly, from a customer's perspective, it means you're 24/7. I don't have to phone my relationship banker to get something done. It even works for the wealth segment. I don't have to wait for you to respond to my needs. I can do something myself. Of course, if you're going to go down this route, you also have to understand that the lack of a human being helping you means that this thing has to be extremely intuitive. So you can't afford to have really complex, difficult to use services which your own staff are willing to go through because you train them excessively to do that and they do it every day of their life. You can't afford to have that kind of experience on your online channels. It must be intuitive, easy, simple. It must be forgiving. It must be designed through a human-centered process by people who understand the rules of usability and engagement and how those fundamentally impact the quality of digital product. Right? But you've got to be online. You've got to stop people waiting. So no more waiting. There's another misnomer, which is I'm going to take my offline stuff and I'm going to put it online. And that's going digital. Right? That's not going digital. That's digitizing your offline stuff online. Right? So you can't take your product brochure from offline and stick it on your website and go, I've created web presence and people can now decide. You can't take your products that work inside a store and expect that throwing them as they are online are going to help people to buy them. You can't take your long processes that are complex and have 6 and 7 forms and just make 6 or 7 application form pages and say, we have taken the application process online. All you've done is digitize your offline process. Truly digital customer experiences consider the digital medium. They consider the digital space, and they design themselves to be accommodating to customers who are activating and acting in those spaces. Right. So, for example, we have banks which are going completely digital. DigiBank in India is a completely digital bank that's a sub-brand of DBS. Right. Completely digital. You don't have to ever go to a branch. There is no paper. Everything is done through digital enablement. We know that this is definitely coming to South Africa, right? So digital offerings as well. If in the world of digital products, you can't say, here are my 50, telecom packages. I've got this many packages. You can buy this package or that package or this package or this package and that one. Actually, there's 50 of them. This one gives you so many minutes. That one gives you so many. What happens to the consumer in that world? They can't decide, right? You give me 50 things to decide from. Actually, I can't decide anymore. It's not helping me. It doesn't help customers to give them lots of choices. it helps them to give them simple options that they can configure to what they really need. And we have examples of various telcos who are starting to move into that direction. The UDO doesn't have 10 packages, it just says, what do you want? These are 3 sliders, those are some checkboxes, done. That's your product. Yeah? Done. No decision outside of what do you want. And of course you can start building in decision processing and support tools if they struggle to make those calls themselves. Okay. The next big thing is personalization. Right? Personalization and digital, particularly in the modern world, are completely and utterly synonymous. If you've ever watched a movie called Hook, where I think it's Dustin Hoffman, it has a wonderful kind of act where he goes, children of today, it's all about want, me, I. He might as well have been talking about the modern digital consumer, right? It's all about me. What you know about me. What you're customizing to me. In fact, I expect that you know this. I don't want you to be Big Brother, let's be real. But I want you to know enough about me to give me what I need, without me having to go through all your static content to try and find that myself. Companies like Amazon understand this very well. In Amazon, there is only one time when the experience will be exactly the same for everybody. That's the first time you go there, and if you do nothing. Right, first time you go there, they say, I don't know much about you. I don't know much about you. So I'm going to give you my standard static, this is my home page. You can look at 2 products and leave and come back. You no longer have the same page as the next guy who comes here without anything, without having been here before. It is continuously, dynamically updating the content based on what it knows about you. And the more you do that, the more personal and intimate the customer experience becomes. At some point, Amazon is like, you won't buy from anywhere else. Why would you walk into a store that knows nothing about you when you can just go to Amazon and bang, there's everything. In fact, it knows what you need next. A little strange. But there it is, exactly correct, right? So the more we can build a personal experience, the more sticky that experience becomes for people, the more likely they are to return, the more loyal they will be to your brand, right? And they will build a direct relationship with you. Okay, outside that, look at Netflix, for example. You've got to know what the customer is doing. So you've got to respond to that, right? Imagine Netflix, you watched a show, and next time you came back, you had to find your own place in the middle, right? It's a simple thing, but it says, I know what you were watching, and I'm going to make it easy for you to continue. More than that, though, it says, well, based on what you were watching, I think you should watch this next. That's a 95% match, right? What if it said, no, that thing there's a 20% match? Will you go watch it? Most people won't. So they are starting to drive your watching and your consumer behavior by personalizing the experience to what you have done and what they know about you. Customer experience in the world of digital is all about personalization. And more personalization, it really is. It is very important. It knows where you go. So Uber says, hey, would you like to go to work, right? Uber knows where you work. It also knows where you live, right? It also knows where you hang out. It knows a lot about you. Did you ever feel that Uber's big brother, though? It's well done, right? They know everything. I mean, seriously. If you just take Uber, Uber could probably map your entire life onto some database somewhere and have a data scientist know exactly what to offer you everywhere at any point in time. Right, watch this space, probably will happen. So they know everything, and that personalization helps them to make services that are very relevant for you and that make you feel like you're getting benefit without being concerned about the way in which they're doing that data mining and the data science behind it. Right? They know what you buy, right? So this is delivery.com, which is a US-based delivery service. So it starts saying, well, hang on, last time you were here, you bought a pure and fresh balsamic avocado and tuna sandwiches with 2 other items. Do you just want that again? Right? You just want that again. Now, after a while, who else will you buy tuna sandwiches from? Like no one. You want a tuna sandwich, you just go, yes, I'd like another tuna sandwich, thanks. Boom, done. Right? So they're starting to build an ecosystem where you will be, through habit, sticky to their proposition. The one-click purchase is a habit-forming strategy. After a while, that habit will remain and will keep consumers coming back to you as a primary purchaser. Now, your call center agents, etc., will struggle to deliver this kind of experience. Right? That's why you're going digital, because you can build very dynamic, interactive experiences which you can't do through your physical channels. You just can't provide that through your physical channels. Right, what about an insurance company that knows what you have? right? Very interesting. Sense Internet of Things, which I'm sure many of you are studying and thinking about, and certainly is becoming a very large economic space. Internet of Things says I can add a little device or an internet connection or a sensor to things, collect tons of data and connect that data, and I can start operating things through my network if they talk to each other. Right? Insurance companies are jumping on that and saying, well, hey, if I could talk to your washing machine and find out when it needs a service, then I can tell you up front to service it and you won't claim when it breaks. So I'm telling you that your washing machine is at the moment all good, but your kitchen sink and your basement bathroom, there's a little bit of an alert there. Actually, the humidity in that room is too high. Wow, right? Like my insurance company's in my house now, in my bathroom, checking the humidity. But very interestingly, this creates incredibly valuable customer experiences. Very, very valuable. If you can automate that and simplify it, it gets into the world of prediction. So you tell me up front what's going to matter, rather than me having to wait until something goes wrong and then react to it. Predictive, proactive customer experiences are enabled by digital through various capabilities like Internet of Things. Right? So, yeah, so insurance is a very big space in the world. Again, sorry, I can't remember the name of this company I wanted to talk more about, but it's slipping my mind. Okay, so it also starts to change your behavior, so even more personalization. Feel free.
Can I just ask about data accuracy? Because I love the idea of personalization, but often when I'm Googling or even through Netflix, it's not just me in the room. So my sister watched like one K-drama, and now all my recommendations are these Korean things that I don't like.
That's why you have your profile.
That's it.
I know,
so you can't be perfect, so you get the customer to sub-segment themselves. So the profile then says, this is me. Tell your sister to get her own profile. But yes, it's not perfect science because of the sharing of devices. So it's still pretty.
My question is, how do you allow the customer to change that without annoying them with asking the question of, is this you? Or update your profile. Because I understand you have profiles, but at the same time.
Yeah, so the data collection is, so you have to incentivize data collection. It must become part of the journey, part of the experience to keep the data accurate and up to date. And you have to be able to say, can I identify a separate customer? Right? And if I'm in doubt, I'm probably going to go forward and say, is this you? It's not going to be, is it you as a blocker? It's not going to stop what I'm doing and say, is this you? But it's going to be an option. Or it's going to say, is this correct? Is this right? Which is an example from Google earlier, saying, is this right? If not, help us, because you know the service is valuable. But it is going to be a little bit up to you to help us to get it right. Are you willing to do that? Why? Why are you willing to do that?
I guess because, well, it comes back to the emotional connection. So if they have you emotionally, then you're willing to make that leap.
Absolutely. We've already built trust. So I trust you enough to give you some more information because I know that you're going to use it in a way that's going to benefit me. If I doubted that for 1 second, what would I do? Walk away, right? So it's a trust-based relationship when you're playing with data. Okay. Cool. So,
sorry, just
sure.
Can I just ask one thing just before you go on to the next slide? I watched this thing on Netflix the night. This hack is all about these guys on social media doing influence elections.
Yeah. Cambridge Analytica.
And it kind of makes you think that one of the columns you should have there is what you think. If I look at what I do on Twitter, which is I absolutely hate it. It's terrible. I mean, it just propagates hatred. But if you make one comment on one thing, and the next day I suddenly see like feeds from people who had the same opinion, and then all you're doing is you're seeing the same type of comments all the time. So now it's like kind of like propagating you to just interact with the same people, the same message, the same time. If you're a clever, if you're clever at trying to guide that conversation, you can really take what I was saying in the middle of the road and turn it into a left field or right field.
Correct. So that's an interesting comment. There are a number of principles at play there in that exact example. The one of them is confirmation bias. So the one inherent problem with giving people things that relate to what they've done before is that all you're doing is reinforcing the opinion they already had. That's called confirmation bias. But people seek that. They seek information that confirms what they already know. So they start going, well, obviously I'm right, because every time I see this. So it's helping you to reinforce your inherent bias of confirmation bias, right? Which is what you want to be reassured or reaffirmed in things you think you already know. So there's a danger there, and you have to be careful of that danger. Another danger is people like me, which means I associate and feel more comfortable with people I think are like me. Right? It's an incredibly powerful marketing tactic, If I could say people like you bought this versus other people bought this, which one are you going to buy? People like me bought this, right? Because I associate with them. So it is inherently building a profile of people like me, saying you probably think like these people, therefore maybe you're going to be interested in what they're saying. At the same time, it's creating confirmation bias, or potentially, if carefully selected, shifting your opinion, because then it's saying you're wrong. Actually, I'm going to force you down another line. The real essence of this is that we have to be very ethical with the stuff that we're doing in this world, because we have the power to change behavior. So we must think very carefully about what sales techniques we use, what persuasion engineering we build into our work. It is important, and it is an ethical responsibility for us to use that correctly. Okay, on exactly the same topic. It can change your behavior, right? So after time, this is Discovery's big play, and they've been doing it very well for a very long time. They're saying, well, I can take somebody who's potentially unhealthy and an insurance risk, and by building an engagement with them, which is multi-channel, it has lots of touch points, it has incentives, it has rewards, it is helping me slowly but surely move myself towards a healthier state. Of course, they want you to move to a healthier state because then your insurance risk goes down. Right? Banks are doing the same thing. They're saying, if I can move you towards financial wellness, then my ability to sell more to you and give you more loans, etc., goes up. So they're building a very valuable relationship, but it's a win-win between the consumer and the organization. You can change people's behavior fundamentally using a digital channel and a digital channel set. Okay, you can also chat with digital. That's really cool, right? The chatbot thing. Who likes chatbots? Yeah? Still in the mix, eh? I don't think South Africa's fully adopted this idea yet. But chat is a big thing. Chat is a very big thing. So Lemonade is a really well-known chat-based insurance company, which had some help from a guy called Dan Ariely, who's very big on behavioral economics, if anybody's read his books, right? So he helped them build this Lemonade platform out. And Maya is not a real person. Maya is a chatbot, right? And they were quite early in the game. But it feels like you're talking to a real person. And in this case, it's a structured process. So she's dynamically changing things, but it's a structured process. She's collecting information in order to help you make a decision. On the other side, we have Reynhardt Uys, which is a natural language system. So there's not a structured process. You can ask whatever you want. It's going to process that content. It's going to respond to you in natural voice, and it's going to try and service your need. Right? A lot of these, for example, are launched in call centers first to build up the machine learning required to be able to service customers in the space. After a while, that machine understands requests almost as well as a person. So it can say, okay, you're asking for that, no problem. I can pull that service in, and I can provide the data that you want. Would you like me to do something more with that? Ask me something else. And off you go. Right? Cuts the person out the process. Go for it. See, you always have some detractors. Yes.
Is it because South Africans is that far behind? Because I find that we have different parts of the presentation where we need to be speaking a plain language. So when you're chatting to a chatbot, the language that I don't know what they could offer, and I mean you're speaking in layman's terms, and you put in something and then they come up with these ugly questions that identifies it by a word, and it's nothing that when I switch off and I pull the wall.
Correct, exactly. So it must be working. And the key thing with all of these is that the machine learning must be running in order for it to be working correctly. So you've got to build up enough of a strength in the service for it to work properly. It's the same as facial recognition, right? It only works if you've done enough work.
Sorry.
Cover it.
Are we behind on that?
I see many chatbots being launched by many large corporates that we work with. They're in the process of building them out, absolutely.
So is it chatbots or is it web chat? Because
Web chat is slightly, obviously, it's actually fundamentally different. Web chat is I link you to a person and we chat online.
Yes, I know.
This is very different. So in this world, I think many of our early adopters are going into the web chat, but web chat is now very prevalent in the country.
Okay.
The chatbot is coming. At least three of our large clients are working, seriously working, on very intuitive natural language chatbots at the moment.
And then
It just hasn't hit us.
are we moving towards chatbot because we don't have to hire a person, so the financial gain is better for a company? Or is it because...
No, so that would be an inside-out view, right? And this is the debate is still a little bit in the question there. Essentially, we're saying that if I can get it done myself, do you actually want to speak to a person? Let me ask you that question. That's the business case, right? Done, right? Nobody really wants to talk to a person, right? Chatbots are anonymous. They can give you your information immediately. As long as they work well, they're quick and efficient. You don't have to wait. You don't have to say, hey, there's a queue of other people trying to chat to me right now. They provide you with that efficacy. So, so I'm going to move on. But absolutely, there is a business case for it. But I think South Africa is still adopting. They're still adopting on this. Okay, I'll go quite quickly. Take the chatbot out the way. The real future interfaces are invisible interfaces. So talk to me. Talk to Alexa. I'm going to show you another one now. Talk to me and allow you do the services for me. I just want to tell you what to do. Right? So there are various assistant apps being built that are allowing customers to say, "Hi Alexa, book me a hair appointment with this salon at 6 o'clock." And it gets done. It just gets done for you. Now, some of those interfaces are back-end integration on the booking engine. Others, this one is fantastic. This is from Google. I think this was an experiment. It actually phones that salon. And a robot voice chats in natural language to the salon, booking you the appointment at 10 and dealing with the questions that they ask you, such as, what kind of haircut do you want? It deals with everything. It's ridiculous, right? So, but the key here is that you're connecting everything for the customer. It's not just about what you offer. First thing you must do is connect your own channels. This goes one step further. Connect what other people offer into your ecosystem for me, because then you become our one-stop place to go and get this job done. Right, so in closing, I'm not going to go further than that. Digital, you guys can read that later, we'll share it. The really important point for me, and I would be amiss as a UX designer if I didn't talk about this for just 2 seconds, right, is that human-centered design process is what leads the innovation that I've just spoken to you about now. It's not, hey, technology can do something, let's find a way to use it. It's what are we really trying to build for our customer? What is that target state customer experience? How are we going to innovate on our journeys and our value chains? How will we pull our delivery closer to that experience? How will we design the experience right? To do that, you have to go through a human-centered design process, which means real people, right? You can't proxy real people, sorry. Real people are real people. You need to go and engage with some real people. You need to engage with them to understand them. You need to engage with them in a design process that rapidly creates prototypes and ideas that you can test iteratively with them until you feel that you've got that process correct, and you keep doing that until you're confident of what you want to do. You can do that quickly on real people through A/B testing in the actual market. You can do that through prototyping inside your lab environments, pushing ideas out and testing them with consumers. But you have to involve real people, and you have to accept the fact that everybody's different and that you're going to find a lot of variance in that process. And you have to keep working. That's me. Thank you. Appreciate it.